Welcome back to Listen, I Have an Idea. Today's November the 5th. It is currently about 10 p.m. in the evening, and I have not written a single word today. Yes, that is right. I have not written, and I am pushing the limits on how late I can get my 1,600 words in for the day. I ended up spending most of today running errands with my mother again, just because she needed a little bit more help today, and that ate up a huge chunk of time. Not that I regret it. That is completely fine. That's what family's for, is to offer help when they need it. And then I just needed a couple of hours to relax and decompress from the stress that I've been having over working and writing and video editing and all of that. I'm so out of practice with video editing and even writing that it's been a little bit overwhelming the last couple of days. That being said, before I get into writing today, I figured I would talk about a couple of the influences that have been influencing my writing this time around. One of my goals for this year was to complete the 2021 Goodreads challenge, which is basically you set how many books you want to read for the year and then you try to read that many. I thought 20 books would be adequate, and I'm currently at about 13 books, technically 14, but that's because I read one of the books twice, and Goodreads doesn't allow you to put in a book twice on that list. I figured I would talk about a couple of the titles that are on that list that I read that are in the genre of what I'm writing, and I read those specifically because they were, well, the first one also, but the rest I read them specifically because they were in this genre I knew I wanted to write about for NaNoWriMo. So the first is called The Silent Waters by Brittany, who is it? C. Cherry. This one was a TikTok recommendation that kind of started my spiraling into getting into the genre and prepping for NaNoWriMo. It's basically about a girl who is mute and a friend who is her older brother's friend slash neighbor. He lives across the street, and basically the story follows them throughout the years of them falling in love. Of course, it's romance. It has a happily ever after. The guy in the story ends up forming a band with the older brother and with a couple of their friends, and he gains some certain celebrity to him, has a little bit more status, and towards the end of the novel you can see him really living that rock star life, and that is what started my spiral. This story was so cute. This is the one that I read twice just because I thought it was so adorable with all of the characters. I really liked how they made the world feel super small in the story, not like the globe, but all the story and the characters. It was very contained within this small little universe, and I thought it worked really well for this type of storytelling, especially with what the main character was undergoing with her stress and her trauma all throughout. The next book I read is called When It's Real by Erin Watt. This one is another celebrity slash normal person romance story where basically a fake relationship between the main celebrity, which is the guy in the relationship, and a normal person who is the female. What I liked most about the story is how you get to see the inside perspective of being a celebrity and how you're treated and how you're able to treat people within that environment as opposed to what a normal person would experience, and how their relationship with the outside world is so vastly different from a celebrity that it's kind of interesting to see the contrasting ideas that both of the main characters have. Of course, I'm not a celebrity. Of course, these characters are not real people, real celebrities, so they're not real situations. But the situations that the author put these characters into do have this realism to it. It makes it feel very authentic, and you get a really interesting glimpse into a certain side of what I picture Hollywood and LA to be like. The next one that we have on the list is Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This one was a couple of chilies on the spice scale. I was not expecting it because I had not read any of the reviews for the book before I went into it. Maybe I should have expected it being a contemporary romance, but it just kind of shocked me and surprised me when I first came upon those scenes. But this novel I thought was a really interesting take on the celebrity and real person, like normal person relationship. Basically, the guy, again, in this book is the famous person. He is a famous actor who writes fan fiction for his own character, but the main general public does not know that he writes this fan fiction. The female lead in this book also writes fan fiction for this actor's specific show, and she's actually on a couple of forums where she unknowingly is chatting with this famous actor under his guise of his online persona. They end up meeting, going on a couple of dates, and actually form this quite interesting relationship between the two of them. This story had a nice insight into the private and personal life of an actor who is in between work, so you get to see more so like the nitty-gritty of what goes on actually behind the scenes when these celebrities are not doing anything else with their days. One of my favorite parts of the book, though, was how real that the author made these characters feel. Like the female lead had a real job. She was passionate about it. Like that was her thing and you couldn't take that away from her. And her hobbies, which was the fan fiction writing, that was also her personality. That is what she wanted to do. She was very adamant about it. And we like to see strong female representation. And I thought this book did a really good job of it. And there's definitely many things I took away from this book that I will definitely play into when I am writing Stardust. All right, the last book that I want to mention is To Love Jason Thorne by Mazie. This book is probably my most disappointing on the list just because I liked the first 3/4 of the book, but that last quarter was pretty much all spice. There was a lot of build up in the first couple of chapters, pretty much leading up to that last quarter of the book, and then there was just the release, the spiciness, you know where that comes in. I did not really like this book just because the main character, the famous guy, which was the male character, was more entitled than what I thought the rest of the male characters have been within the genre so far. This is to the point where I felt as if the main female character was just giving in because she was so in love with him that she was neglecting to see all of the red flags that were present. I didn't like the end of this book because it felt like it was such a toxic relationship and just not something that sits well within that happily ever after kind of vibe. Whereas the rest of the books, they were so sweet, they had beautiful endings, and this one was just like a, yeah, let's be together because, you know, I've loved you since forever, and yeah, you're available, and you know who I am, you're familiar with me, and you will say yes to all of my possessive and demanding tendencies. I don't know. One thing I will take away from this book is what I don't want to write for my current novel. I don't want my main characters to be as possessive. I do have other influences for my main characters, both the male and the female, and I know where they're going to go. And in reading this book, it showed me a lot of what I don't want to see versus what I do want to see, and it was a good lesson. Those are the books that I read within the genre this year. Of course, I have read many more books falling under the celebrity/normal person type relationship. Although if you have any book recommendations for anything that falls under this category of celebrity, maybe fake relationship, but singer, actor, something like that, please let me know in the comments down below. I really like reading this genre, and I have not read as many books as I know there are out there in this genre. So please let me know if there's any good ones that you have read in the comments down below. My last project, Starstruck, was based in Los Angeles, which I have been there, but I was only there for a day and I didn't get to go see a lot of the sites, which is where my story takes place. So all of that I was relying off of Google. This story, however, features in New York City, which I have been there multiple times, spent many days, ridden the subways, been to a bunch of restaurants, been to a bunch of places. Of course, mostly tourist sites, but I feel a much deeper connection to that city. And I feel like when I'm writing this story, I know exactly where they are. I can picture it without having to Google it. It's coming a lot easier in that front. The part where it differs quite vastly is this one is so open-ended. The first book, I had quite a strict idea of exactly where I wanted these characters to go. And this time around, I'm juggling. I have a couple of ideas and I just want to see which one plays out. So far, I feel like I'm dropping the ball a little bit. These ideas, they're coming to fruition and they're not what I want. They're not what I pictured for this story. So I'm going to have to see how it plays out throughout the rest of the month. If I end up scrapping these first 4 chapters, that is a huge possibility and starting right over. I may even keep them so I have the words, but starting from the beginning again, coming up with a different concept, something that works better for these characters in this location. All right, I've rambled for long enough. I need to get these words down, so let's see what I can get. I'm not going to time lapse it just because I need to get these words in as soon as possible. So let's jump to see how many words I just wrote. So we've reached 1,713 words for today, bringing our total to 8,816. I'm going to be a little bit shaky here just because I'm holding this, but 1,713 for today. I'm feeling kind of okay about those words. And there we go. We're still on track and still above it. Slightly, but ooh, we've had our lowest word day so far. But you know what? We're still above it. We're about 500 over. Well, just shy of 500. We're doing good. We're meeting the goals. That is it for me today. I have spent enough time worrying about this. I got to wake up early tomorrow for work. Yeah, I'm ready to go to bed. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow. And until then, happy writing. Bye. Hello and welcome back to Listen, I Have an Idea. It's November 5th. We are well on our way to... What was today's goal supposed to be?